Hey, the next video is actually going to be 2 days worth of hints because they're very similar pages. So it's going to be on pages 20 and 21. So here we go. If you remember, and I'm actually going to fill in some of the steps up at the top with you, it says graph the boundary lines using the slope-intercept method. Remember, if you have a dotted line, that means you're just having a less than or a greater than symbol. That's the dotted. And then you're going to have less than or equal to, greater than or equal to, if you're going to do the line underneath. All right. And then underneath there, remember, if it has the less than symbol or less than and equal to, you're going to have to shade it down. Remember, use that line test. So you put your pencil on the line and you go down, because some of the slants are a little funny and it's hard to figure out. Then wherever the line test is, that's the way you are going to shade down. And the same thing for up. For greater than, you can still do the line test and then shade that side. So some of the lines are a little trickier to figure out. So when you do this, you're going to go through, and I will do number 2 with you because it's harder. We're going to look at this one and say I don't have y by itself. So I first need to divide through by a -3. But when we divide through by a -3 and we have an inequality sign, remember, we have to flip-flop that inequality sign. So I have y, and then instead of it being greater than or equal to, now I have to make it less than or equal to because I divided through by a -3. Something to remember. And then I have -9x divided by -3, which gives me 3x. And then I have 18 divided by -3, which gives me -6. Okay, so now I'll show you. Now I have y by itself. And then it's the same that we always do. We are going to go through and write down m and b. So if you remember, like all the quizzes, you got points for telling me m and telling me b. And then we're going to write down that the slope is 3/1. So if it's not a fraction, make it a fraction. And don't forget to take the sign for that b. b has to be -6. And then we wrote down 2 more things before we actually started to graph. We would look at this and say, okay, look, it's less than or equal to. Less than means that I'm shading down, so we would write the words down in there, and it has a line underneath it. That means it's solid. So in order to get full credit for me, let me see all that. There you go. Here's my line. There's my M. There's my B. I said I'm shading down, and it's solid. Now I'm ready to go. Don't forget that my X and Y's are naked, so I need to put in the X, need to put in the Y, and I'm going to begin on the Y axis at -6. So on the up and down line, I'm counting down 6 from the origin. And then I'm going to do this in a pen so you can see it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And then I'm going up 3, my rise, over 1 to the right. Up 3, over 1. Up 3, over 1. And remember, I know some of you don't like this part, but you do have to extend your line throughout the whole thing. So you're going to get your points in there. And then you're going to find a straight edge, which I'm going to go crazy and do it without, and put my line in there. Here I am. So I have a solid line because it said solid. Remember to slow yourself down. If it's dotted, little dots, don't recommend using pen. I'm just doing it so you can see it better. And then we're going to do down. So here's my line test. Remember, I'm going to take my pen, if I can do this backwards, put it on any of the points, and then make my line to go down so I know that this is the side that I'm shading on. And then I come back in, and you do not have to shade the whole thing, but you do need to make it very noticeable that that's how you're shading. Okay? So because I did X and Y, shaded, solid, there's my line, showed M and B, and I have Y by itself, I had a lot of points on this one. Okay? I only have 1 line on this one, so I don't have to label my line. Bonus if you do. But if I ever put 2, turn the page, I have to label them. Okay? One of the things that they can ask you, oh, wait a minute. 2 has another question. Does the point 1, -3 lie in the solution? You need to find where 1, -3 is, and if it is in a shaded point, then yes. If it is not, then no. And then on the other page, it's the same thing that you're going to do on that first one, except remember we made a space and we split our paper in half and we did 2 separate problems. So I'll show you how we set one up. And actually I'm going to set up number 4 because I haven't reminded you how to do these in a while. I have y is less than 4 and x is greater than or equal to -3. Okay, so I have my 2 problems ready to go. And then these ones are different. So if you remember that when the y is equal to 4 or less than 4, then I have to go on the y line. I'm going to do it in my pen so you can see it. Go up to 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, and make a dot. And then I want all the points to have the y value to be 4. And that's going to be a line that goes like this. Now before you get excited, make sure you go back and look. Is it going to be solid or dotted? Mine is dotted. And I have a less than symbol, so I'm going to go down. So I have to go slow and make sure that I don't forget to make that dotted. And then I have to label this. Y is less than 4 because I'm putting 2 on there. And then I'm going down. So I'm going to shade that. And then I'm going to go the other way, and it says x is greater than or equal to -3. So I'm going to go on my x line and find -3. There's my x is -3 dot. Now I want all the points here to be x equals -3, and my line is going to go up and down. And then before I go too fast, this is going to be a solid line because it's greater than or equal to. And since it's greater than or equal to, I have to find the bigger numbers. So this isn't up or down for this one. I have to shade towards the numbers that are bigger. So I'm at -3. I know that the numbers that are this way are getting bigger. So I'm going to shade that way. So I'm shading across, and I did 2 different colors so you could see it. Make sure you go in and label your lines. And here we are. Here's the solution. And we would usually put a big S in there, but I don't want to make it so you can't see it. Maybe I'll do it in pencil and you can see. This means that that's where the solution is. And then these questions are asking you to make sure, are these points in there? Okay? So there you go. I hope that little mini lesson helped remind you of all those things. There's a lot to remember with graphing, but I know you guys rocked that unit, so you're all set. Hope to see you soon.